Hey guys, so today I'm gonna be doing my May wrap up, um, and I read a total of 23 books this month, and I'm gonna apologize in advance because most of them were from the library and they have already gone back for the most part, so I only have a few of them actually physically to show you guys, so again, I'm super sorry about that. But the first one is actually one that I do have physically, and that is Blue Lily Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. I have been wanting to continue this series super bad because I read The Dream Thieves, I want to say 5 or 6 months ago, and I really enjoyed it. I love Ronan. I am like obsessed with him, and I just really wanted to read this and see what's going on with the babies in this one. And this one was super trippy. Like, it was real trippy. I was like, what? Like, what just happened, you know? So I'm really excited to read The Raven King, which I might do this month because it does have LGBTQ themes in it, so I might go ahead and just be like, it'll work, because I'm trying to mainly read LGBTQ plus books this month, and I have a whole TBR for it, and it's really exciting. And I'll probably just link you guys to my blog post about it because I don't really want to make a separate video for it. But yeah, I'll go ahead and link that down below so that you guys can like see what all I'm gonna be reading for June, what I plan on. But yeah, this was really good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and like I said, I'm really excited to continue on and see what's gonna happen with these characters next. The next book I read was actually an audiobook that I listened to while I was at work, and that was The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter by Theodore Goss. And I really enjoyed this book. It was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. And it had a lot of crazy themes, like Sherlock Holmes just shows up in it. I'm just like, where did you come from? Like, I'm happy you're here, but like, what? You know, because it's just so random. You're just like, I didn't, you know? And I think it might even be in the synopsis that Sherlock shows up, but I didn't really read the synopsis. I just heard some people talk about it and say it was good and stuff, but they didn't mention Sherlock, and so I just like, he showed up and I was like, Sherlock's here. Okay, we're good. But no, it was a really good book. It was really fun. I gave it a 4 out of 5. There were a couple things that I had a little bit of a problem with. Just some of the plot points just seemed a little bit like, I felt like there were a few plot holes in the story, but I think this might end up being a series, so those could be getting addressed later. But like I said, it was really good. I really enjoyed Sherlock's character. I felt like the author did very well writing him. And Sherlock is a very difficult character to write, so yeah, I loved it. It was great. It was great. I love Sherlock. Anything with Sherlock in it, I'm just like, bless my little soul. Anyway, and then the next book I read was Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I read this because I had seen the movie trailer and I was like, ooh, I should really read that. And so I went ahead and read it. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I really love Astrid. Like, I'm obsessed with her, and she was probably my favorite character in the entire book. She was great. And yeah, I really enjoyed her, and I really enjoyed like her whole interactions and stuff with like Charlie. I thought that was great, and it's gonna go a way that I don't want it to go in the next book. I can already tell, but like, it makes me so mad because I just, you know. But I really hated the one guy. Oh, what was his name? See, it's been so long since I read it. I read this at the beginning of May, but Eddie. That's his name, Eddie. Oh my god, I hate Eddie with everything in me. I just cannot stand his character. If you've read this book, you know he is a terrible human being, and I just hate him with a burning passion. Okay? So he kind of knocked a little bit of the rating off for me. I just felt like he went a little too far with some things, but I did end up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And yeah. And the next book I read this month is actually a very popular one at the moment, and that is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Now, there have been a lot of mixed feelings about this, and I think why is that everybody is going in expecting too much out of this book, because you got to think that Sarah J. Maas normally releases books that are at least 500 pages long, and this is only 220 pages. And so everybody has, I think, a little bit of unreasonable high expectations for a 220 page novella, because that's what this is, guys. It's a novella. And the war has ended, so I mean, there's not going to be a lot of that kind of action and stuff that we're used to from the other books, because the war is over. Okay, it's done. It's over. It's gone. It's, we did it. So I think just everybody's just expecting too much out of this, and I think that's why a lot of people are coming out feeling really disappointed and kind of feeling like this doesn't even need to be a thing, which I disagree. I loved that we actually got this, because there have been so many times that I have wanted like an extra little something after a series, just to like see where those characters ended up, to see what happened to them, to see how they are. And that's basically what this book is. It's just showing us like what happened after the war to these characters and how they are and what's going on with them. And I just love that Sarah J. Maas gave that to us, because I really, really loved this. Like, I was really excited to see all of the characters again and see what they've been up to and everything. Nessa pissed me off. She's being a completely unreasonable little shit. But I also kind of love her. Like, I love her character. She just really is pissing me off right now. But, I mean, it makes sense because of things. I don't want to be spoiler, but yeah. But it was really good. And I really enjoyed it. And I get that some people didn't like it. But again, I think that's just because they went into it with too high of expectations, which I mean I get, because Sarah J. Maas really does an amazing job with all of her books. But again, this is a 220-page book compared to normally 700-page books. A Court of Wings and Ruin was about 700 pages, guys. So, I mean, you can only do so much in 220 pages. But yeah, this was, like, and I mean, it even says that this is just mainly about them hanging out at the winter solstice. So, like, I don't know why everybody was expecting for there to be so much action when we were literally told what it was going to be. So I just think everybody kind of, I don't know, just went into it with too high of expectations, which I get, again, because Sarah J. Maas is so good. But yeah. Anyway, but I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Because I really enjoyed it, and I really just enjoyed seeing where these characters ended up and how they're doing and everything, and I'm just really excited for the next books in this series and just seeing these characters again and seeing how they're doing, and I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what that is. The next book I read was Girl Hearts Girl by Lucy Sutcliffe. I got this from Overdrive through my library, and it was so good, you guys. The next few books are for that buzzword readathon with the girl in the title, just Beachy Dubs. But it was so good and cute, and I was just so obsessed with it, and it makes me so sad, because if you guys didn't know, Lucy, she was part of a channel on YouTube with her girlfriend Kaylin, but they broke up last year or the year before that, and they had been together for like over 6 years or something, and it's so sad reading, basically, because it's about her when she was younger, realizing her sexuality, and then the next part is about her and Kaylin and they're finding each other and being together, and just and it's so sad. And I've been watching their videos, because I've actually never watched them, so I've been watching them, and I can't. But Lucy is a lovely person, and she's a great writer, and she has her own YouTube channel, so I highly recommend you guys go check her out. It's literally just her name. Lucy Sutcliffe is her name. But yeah, it was a really good book. I loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was perfect. So, the next book I read was Paper Girls Volume 1, and I wasn't a big fan. I know that a lot of people on BookTube really love Paper Girls, and it's like held in like the same esteem as Saga, because it is also, I think, co-authored by Brian K. Vaughan, who also does Saga. But one, I've never read Saga, so that's a whole other thing that people will probably come for me about. But I just have no interest in it. It's like the whole like space thing and everything, and I'm not really into that. And you're like, Jessica, but you love Star Wars, and it's like, literally, that's the only space thing that I like. I don't know, I just know I wouldn't enjoy it. Anyway, but I thought I'd give Paper Girls a try because it kind of had a different premise and everything, and it was at my library. And I was like, well, I might as well try, and I can at least see what the whole thing is with Brian K. Vaughan, because he's very much held in high esteem here on BookTube. So I tried it, and I read it, and I just wasn't a big fan. I just didn't really like it. The art style was gorgeous, beautiful. I can say that. I just think that I don't know, the story, I just didn't like it. I just didn't. I'm sorry. I gave it a 3 out of 5 because, like I said, the artwork was really nice, and I did enjoy the characters. The characters were very well done. But again, the plot just wasn't that great. Yeah, and I don't think I'll continue on either. The next book I read was The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas. You guys, I finally read it. So I got Scribd, which is like basically Netflix for books is how I'd describe it. Basically, if you guys were around when Oyster was a thing, which, rest in peace, because I miss that shit. Basically, it's a subscription service. You pay like $9 a month, and you get unlimited audiobooks and ebooks from Scribd, and they have like a whole wide range of them on there. And so I've been going on there, and I've been basically getting all my audiobooks from there when I'm at work, because if you've been here, you know I work in the back at my job, so I can listen to audiobooks while I'm working. I'm the receiver, so I receive all of our boxes and stuff. So anyway, I've been getting all my audiobooks from there, and finally, The Hate U Give was on there, and I was so excited because I have been wanting to read it, but it's been almost impossible to get it from my libraries and all that stuff and everything. So I finally got it, and I listened to it, and it was so good, you guys, and I totally get the whole hype and everything around it now, because it was so good. And I feel like I really learned something while reading it, and just like I really it broke my heart afterwards that like obviously that was a fictional story and everything, but it's based on true events, and like there is like a star out there that has gone through stuff very similar to this, and it breaks my heart that that's a thing. And it was such a heavy hitter, and I was like at work when I finished it, and I was like about to burst into tears because it was just so sad. So yeah. But yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I highly recommend everybody go read it. I literally think that this should be required reading for everyone. I feel like everyone should have to read it, and I feel like cops should have to read it. I feel like it should be like a requirement or something. I think it would really help, but I don't know. Okay, anyway, let's get out of this sadness. The next book I read, it was another audiobook, and that is Girl Out of Water by Laura Silverman. Again, listen to the audiobook on Scribd, and it was super good. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was, because I'm not that big a fan of contemporary, although I've been finding that I've been enjoying it a lot more lately, so I don't know what that's about. I think it's because I've been listening to them on audiobooks. I think contemporary on audiobooks is just really good. But basically it's about this girl who's like a surfer, and she has to go with her dad to like, oh man, where is it? It's like Mississippi or Tennessee or one of those. I don't know. See, all those places are like the same to me. Sorry. Anyway, and she ends up meeting some people at the park because she's taking care of her cousins while her aunt is in the hospital, and she's gonna be in a wheelchair for a while because she was in a bad car wreck. And so she's helping taking care of her cousins. There's 2 twin boys and 1 girl. She's a little bit older than them, about 13 or so. So while her dad is helping her aunt, and like, you know, he's working down there and everything, she's taking care of them, and they go to the park almost every day because it's summertime, and it's a way to like keep them from being like too all the time. Anyway, and she meets a boy there. His name is Lincoln, and he is one of the most amazing characters I've ever read. Okay, so Lincoln is a black boy with an amazing smile and dimples, and he only has one arm, but it's done so well, and it's not like in just the way that it's done, like you can tell that like it doesn't hinder him from doing anything that he wants to do. He does everything that he wants to do, and he's a very adventurous person, and I adore him. Like, I just adore him. And I think that's mainly one of the reasons I enjoyed this book so much, is because Lincoln is just such an amazing character. Like, he is just, I'm obsessed with him, basically. Obsessed. Anyway, but the girl, she really misses surfing and everything, and Lincoln, he skateboards, and he gets her to start trying to skateboard, and, you know, she's very good at it, and it's just a whole thing. It is so cute and so great, and I just loved it because I longboard, so it was giving me all these nostalgic feelings because it's been a while since I had longboard, and literally that day that I finished it, I came home. It was the day I had work. I'd been on my feet all day, but I still grabbed my longboard, went out and rode for like half an hour. My feet were killing me at the end of that, but you know, it was worth it. It's been too hot to longboard now, but I love it. It was a really good book, and I highly, highly recommend it to, like, everybody. It's on Scribd. You can listen to the audiobook. It's a really good audiobook. Highly recommend. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I was obsessed. It was so good, and I think I'll definitely be interested in her future books as well. Sorry, my voice is, like, starting to go away. Next book I read was Girl Online on Tour by Zoe Sugg. I read the first book, like, years ago. Like, back when I was working at Hastings years ago. So that was, like, 3 years ago? Probably about 3 years ago. Anyway, so I read that book, and it was pretty good. It was alright. But I've been wanting to read the sequel because I just wanted to know what happens, you know? And so I finally got to read the sequel because, I now go to the Austin Public Library, and they have an amazing Overdrive selection. Let me tell you, they have everything I could want for the most part. So anyway, it was on there, and I went ahead and read it because it fit for the girl buzzword challenge thing, and it was pretty good. I just really enjoy Elliot, like, so precious, right? Am I right? Like, I want a best friend like that. Like, he literally came all the way to Paris for his best friend. I want an Elliot. Anyway, but yeah, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, it was pretty enjoyable. It was pretty good. There were definitely some things that annoyed me about it. It's so juvenile, you guys. It's, like, really juvenile. And, that normally doesn't bother me, but with this, just the way it's written and everything, you can definitely tell, you know, but I still enjoyed it. It was still a really fun, quick, fast read, and it definitely had me laughing at some moments, so it definitely has a good sense of humor anyway, but yeah. And then the next book I read, I actually buddy read this with my friend Kristen, and that is Every Which Way But Dead. I always mess up this title. By Kim Harrison. This is the third book in the Hollow series, which we've been buddy reading together. And I didn't enjoy this one as much as the other ones. I think the first one I enjoyed the most. The second one I didn't enjoy as much as the first. And then this one was just kind of for the most part. There were some moments that I was like, yes! Like, I had been waiting for it to happen, and it finally happened. But for the most part, it just kind of, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, it was alright, but hopefully the next one will be better. The next book I read was The Case for Jamie by Brittany Cavallaro, which I am so happy I finally got to read this. So the Austin Public Library, I went there and it was on their new YA shelf. I was like, I have been waiting for a library to get this for me, because I've read the other two books from libraries, and I wasn't about to buy the last book when I didn't own the other two, just so I could read it. I wasn't going to do it. Anyway, so I finally went there, and they had it, and I got it, and I read it, and it was so good. Although I am, like, low-key bitter, because literally Charlotte and Jamie are not together. Like, they are not physically in the same space, like physically occupying the same space for more than half of the novel. And I am just so bitter. So I literally knocked off a star for that. But otherwise, it was an amazing book, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Bakuman Volume 1. It was so bad. It was so bad. This is the first manga I have ever DNF'd. I had maybe like 10 pages left, but I just couldn't do it anymore. This is the most sexist pile of garbage I have ever read in my entire life. Like, basically, the main character is really obsessed with this girl that's in his class, and, like, this guy that's, like, trying to, like, buddy up with him to get him to, like, draw art for a manga that he wants to do, like, forces him to, like, go to her house or whatever and confess to her or whatever, and then she agreed, and then she's like, oh, well, we can get married when we're older, but we can't talk to each other before then, and I'm just like, basically, they're going to both, like, he's gonna focus on being a manga artist, and she's gonna focus on becoming, like, an actress so that she can, like, do, like, or, like, a voice actress so that she can, like, voice anime or some shit like that, and it's so weird. Anyway, and repeatedly, these characters talk about women so terribly, basically saying that their whole point in life is to make sure that their husband is happy and to keep the house clean and to take care of the children, and I was just screaming about this damn thing, and I'm so angry about it. Because before all the sexist shit happened, I was actually pretty interested in the plot. Like, it seemed pretty interesting because, like, you know, someone, like, a manga about someone writing a manga. Like, that just sounded really interesting to me. But the sexist shit, it just killed it. It was terrible. I'm definitely not continuing on, and I'm trying to warn everybody, do not read this manga. It is fucking terrible. It is heinous. Fucking heinous. Don't read it. I have a ton of recommendations for manga that are not sexist pieces of trash if you would like those. So, okay. If you couldn't tell, I really hated this book. I gave it a 2 out of 5, again, just because I did enjoy what part of it I had read before the sexist shit came up. I say it comes up about halfway through the manga, because the first part is just introducing you to the characters and then them talking about, oh, I want to do this manga, and that was okay. And then the sexist shit happened. So, anyway, the next book I read was Nowhere But Here by Katie McGarry. I listened to the audiobook at work on Scribd, and this was really good. I can't even, it's so good. I loved the characters. Emily and Oz are just my entire heart. I love them, and I was rooting for them so hard, and I really enjoyed that it was more than just about the romance. It was also about Emily and her family and her, like, her past, and her finding out about her family side that she never really got the chance to know, and that she was just starting to get to know, and everything. And I was so obsessed, and there were definitely some high stakes in this book, and it was so good, and I can't wait to read the next book. I'm more excited for the third one, because that one is about one of my favorite side characters, but the second one will be good too, I just know it. But yeah, I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I got this arc from work and I really, really enjoyed it. This is basically about two queens set not two queens. Well, yes, two queens. I'm lying, it is two queens. Set 1,000 years apart, and basically their storylines intersect somehow. And this was a trip. This was like, I was like, what? But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the characters in this, and yeah, I highly recommend everybody to go read this. I think it was really, really, really good, and I gave this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm trying to think about anything definitive I can tell you, but I'm losing my voice, so it's kind of dying. Okay, well, at first I wasn't the biggest fan of Riel, and I still definitely prefer Elaine to her, but Riel definitely started growing on me, and I think she's a really interesting character, so there's something. The next book I read was Books Are Falling. They're okay. The next book I read was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Basically the HP Readathon 2018 is happening right now, and I'm taking part in it, so we're rereading the Harry Potter books, and I reread this one, and I'm so emotional about it. Harry Potter is my absolute favorite thing in the entire world. And it means the entire world to me. And I just know that, like, without Harry Potter, like, I wouldn't even be here. And it means so much. Harry Potter came to me at a time in my life that I really needed something like this. And it just saved me. And I love Harry Potter with, like, my whole heart. So, I just love it. Okay. Put that there. The next book I read was another audiobook I listened to, and that was tongue twister. The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. I had actually read, like, the first 100 pages of this a few years ago. I checked the book out from the library, but I just DNF'd it because I was bored or something. I don't know. But I listened to the audiobook because it was, like, a really quick one, and it was, like, a Friday, so I needed one that I could get through in one day because I didn't want to, like, have one going and, like, have it sit over the weekend, because I only listen to the audiobooks when I'm at work. I don't listen to them when I'm at home. So anyway, I got through that, and it was pretty cute, you know. It wasn't anything special. I thought the banter in it was really good. It was very witty, which I enjoyed. But other than that, again, nothing really special, but it was enjoyable. Like, it wasn't bad or anything. So I gave it a 3 out of 5. The next book I read was The False Prince by Jennifer A. Nilsson. Another audiobook I listened to, but you guys, wow. I did not expect this to be as brutal as it was. Like, the covers of them, like, very much lure you into thinking, oh, this is just gonna be, like, a regular, YA fantasy. Like, no, it's not. It's way more brutal than you are, like, thinking it's gonna be. You go in thinking, oh, it's just gonna be kind of, like, typical YA. Nope. Like, I can't even tell you what happens because it's all spoilers, but, like, it's just way more brutal than you're thinking it's gonna be. Way more. And it's got a lot of twists and turns I wasn't expecting. And I thoroughly enjoyed this first book. I gave it a 4 out of 5. And I'm really excited to see where the rest of the series goes. The next book I read was Pirates of the Caribbean, The Price of Freedom by A.J. Crispin, which is one of the books I read for the Scallywagathon. And I am so excited that I finally read this, you guys. It's been a long time coming. My library back in Longview had it, like, physically, and I had tried to read it a couple times, but I never got too far in it. This time I checked out the ebook from Overdrive, and I got through it finally. It took me about 4 days because it's like 700 pages, but it's so worth it. if you are a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan, specifically if you love Captain Jack Sparrow with your whole heart like I do, you should read this, because it gives you such a deeper level of understanding of his character, and it definitely makes it more enjoyable when you're rewatching the films, because you understand why Jack has done certain things that he's done. And I love that. I love that you get him, because he is just such a complex and amazing character. And yeah, so I just highly recommend that everybody that really loves Pirates of the Caribbean to read this book, because it's really great. The next book I read was actually another audiobook I listened to, and that was The Siren by Kira Cass. This was another one for the Scallywagathon, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I actually enjoyed it a little bit more than I thought I was going to. I read the Selection series by Kira Cass. Well, I read the first 3. I haven't read the other ones. But I enjoyed those, but they weren't all that great, you know? They were kind of just average. And I enjoyed this one a little bit more than I thought I would, because the concept is just very interesting. And the fact that the ocean is like a sentient being, like the concept of that is just like kind of mind-boggling a little bit, and it's done very well. And I just really enjoy like the sisterhood aspect between the fellow sirens and the mother relationship that you kind of get with them and the ocean. I just really enjoy that, and I thought it was super interesting, so I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, it was a very interesting read. The next book I read was Ink Mistress by Audrey Coulthurst, and this was really good. I think I enjoy A Fire and Stars more, but this was really good as well. I really enjoyed our main character. I think that she's really, I don't know, I guess just different, because she's actually a demigod. So the way that she thinks about things and like goes about them is pretty interesting. And I really enjoyed the way that the romance and stuff was handled, like, because she was super in love, and then just all the stuff that happened, I just loved it. And it was just such a great representation of like bisexuality and everything, and I love it. I loved it. It was great. Yeah, and this one I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I read, you guys, was, can you guess? Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And during this reread, you guys, I think I have found my new favorite quote from this series. It is said by Dobby when he goes to visit Harry in the hospital wing after he had the Quidditch accident and his arm is all, no bones in it. And he says, and Harry Potter shone like a beacon of hope for those of us who thought the dark days would never end. And I just can't believe that I had never registered that quote before. Because it exactly sums up me and my experience with this series and just how much I love it and everything. And I love that quote. And I'm definitely gonna get that tattooed on me whenever I finally get the money to get tattoos, because I have so many ideas. I have like 9 tattoos I want to get and no money to get them, so. But I thoroughly enjoyed this reread. It was so good. And I gave it a 5 out of 5, obviously. The next book I read was another audiobook, and that was Sight Witch by Susan Dennard. I listened to this, obviously, at work, and it was okay. I kind of agree with everybody else that, like, it wasn't as good as the other ones, and, I'm not sure how it's gonna really tie in with the main story. It wasn't like, Sarah J. Maas's novellas, where I feel like you have to read them to understand, unless these characters end up showing up in Blood Witch, then I don't know how it's really gonna tie in with it, but, it was pretty enjoyable. I gave it a 3 out of 5, so I did enjoy some parts of the story, but yeah, it just wasn't as good, and I wasn't as interested in the plot as I normally am. The characters were alright, but not as compelling, so. And finally, the last book I read this month was A Poison, Dark, and Drowning by Jessica Cluez. This is the second book to Shadow, Bright, and Burning. I have no idea what the series is called. Oh, Kingdom on Fire series. That's what it's called. And I really enjoyed this. I just love the setting of these books. It's like a whole like Victorian England setting, and I'm obsessed. I love it. But yeah, these are super fun, and I love the characters and everything, but let me tell you, one of these characters was really fucking pissing me off in this book. You can probably guess who it is. Just, wow, I hate him so much right now. But yeah, I gave this a 4 out of 5, and I am excited to read the next book whenever that comes out. Well, really whenever my library gets it. But yeah, so those were the 23 books I read this month. Again, I have an annoyingly long wrap-up. Sorry about it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys read this month. And yeah, I guess I will see you later.